Okay, so I'm assuming you all can see this. But just to jump right in, so Precursor launched in 2015. The fund was founded by Charles Hudson, who's the solo GP of the fund. And really, the founding premise of the fund is that we believe that every entrepreneur, regardless of their background and pedigree, can benefit from institutional investors really supporting them at the earliest stages to help them grow and scale their business. And so for us, really, it's the same guiding principle as we think about building out our portfolio today. It's that we back the people, which are the founders, over product. Precursor, we're a fund that's based in the Bay Area, San Francisco to be specific. We're a generalist fund, which traditionally invests in software as well as hardware companies. And so as I think about our portfolio, it's split roughly 50-50 between B2C as well as B2B companies, but we do have some exceptions despite being a sector agnostic fund. And those exceptions are with deep tech as well as hard tech companies. We just feel that we don't have the scientific background to really help these companies grow. Um, Now, moving into how we think about our strategy, we have this term that we've coined pre-everything. And especially given where we invest, which is mainly in companies that are at the pre-seed and seed stage, what that means is that we'll back companies that are pre-product, that are pre-revenue, and pre-launch. And we'll often back companies that have first-time founders or back companies that are building in markets that are still being developed. And really, as an added bonus to that, maybe I should expand my screen, that make everyone's life easier. As an added bonus to that, we have a portfolio that is ethnically diverse as well as gender diverse. And so, in terms of ethnicity, we have well over 50% of our portfolio that is run and founded by BIPOC founders. And the same thing for gender equity. We have well over 50% of our portfolio that is run by female founders, which is like super exciting. Jumping back into our strategy and really focusing more on geography and check size, Precursor is really predominantly focused on investing in companies that are in the US, Canada, and Mexico. But we do have some opportunities that are based internationally, and those are in Nigeria, Kenya. We've made an investment in a company in Dubai, one in Indonesia, but really, I would say the focus of the fund is to back founders that are here in the US. Going back into our stage, as I said before, we invest in companies at the pre seed and seed stage. Really, the way we think about our investment at pre seed is that these are usually rounds that are a million or less. We will lead these rounds, but we don't have to. So if there's a lead in place, we're happy to participate. And usually our check size for these rounds are 250. We will also invest at the pre-seed at the seed stage, but usually those are rounds that are 4 million or less, and our check size varies a bit, anywhere between 250K to 500K. So besides our geo and our check size, the other element that we factor in to our decision making process is that we have a pretty strong conflict of interest policy, and what we mean by that is we don't typically invest in companies that are direct competes now or in the future to our existing portfolio companies. And so really that is how we like to set up our relationship with the founders we back to date. Now that I've went through all of our kind of key facts about the fund, I think the part of the fund that I love talking about the most, which is like, how do we help the founders? And so number one is that we have an on-demand support. And so what that means is anything that you need, whether it be strategic or tactical, you can reach anyone on the team, assuming that you're a portfolio company at any point in time. The other area where we support companies that we back is around hiring. We know it's hard to find talent. And so what we do is we have this great job board, and because we have a pretty expansive network, we have the benefit of easily connecting founders that are looking for exceptional talent to folks within our network, or just spreading the word about opportunities that they're looking to fill. The other area is, even as we're still closing, look, when we're investing and we're looking to kind of close out the round, we've had experiences where founders need our support, whether we're leading the round or not, with really closing out that last bit of capital. So we are your partners in that, closing out that syndicate. And we take the same approach in terms of being hands on as you're thinking about raising your next round of capital. And, we'll help you curate your story at the top of the process. We'll help you figure out who are the right investors for you to meet, because just as we think getting that talent to company match correct, we think getting that founder to investor match correct. And we're fortunate where we sit. We have a pretty wide ranging network of investors that are at the seed and Series A firms. So we also have a good idea of who they are and what they typically like to see. And then the other thing, which is a bonus of how often we invest in a year, which is anywhere between 20 to 25 companies in a year, is that we have a really huge founder community, 300 plus, that sit anywhere between, from a stage perspective, pre seed to Series D. And so the added bonus is that whether you're a first time founder that we back, whether you are a second or a third time founder that we back, you get the benefit of peer to peer support. And there's just so much knowledge swapping and resource swapping that happens in within our founder community. And so those are some of the things that we like to extend to our founders once you join the Precursor family. Now, I've talked a lot about the fund, excuse me, but I haven't highlighted the amazing team that I work with. And so Charles Hudson, he's the GP of the fund. We have Sydney Thomas, who's our principal, myself, and then our newest addition to the fund is Marina. And so this is a view of our entire investment team. So thank you guys for listening to my pitch on Precursor. If you need anything or have any questions post this event in the Q&A session, you can reach me via my email. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
All right, Ayanna. Of course, there are questions for you. We got a whole list of them that people have been putting in as you've been going through your presentation. So
Cool.
appreciate you sharing about Precursor. Let's dive
Cool.
right into it. At the very top, Allison had a question around due diligence. Can you speak to what founder need to have to be ready for that due diligence conversation with Precursor?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So because we back people over product, really the due diligence process is way more qualitative than quantitative. And so what we care about is like, do you, the founder, have a clear, thought out vision for what you're building, why you're building it, who your customers are, how you're thinking about growing? Are you able to be honest about the hypothesis around your businesses that you're still trying to flesh out, and what you know and what resources you need? And so I feel like whenever we're talking to founders, we naturally gravitate to the ones that are just like, look, this is what I know. This is my passion. This is the white space that I'm filling that no incumbent, large or small, is thinking about. This is a unique insight that I have about my target customers that no one has yet to spend time addressing their need. And this is how I'm going to tackle it. But I know I need X. And so they're aware, whether that's from a team perspective, and this is way beyond capital, team perspective, what resources they need to achieve those goals. They have a good understanding of like how they're going to get to V1 of, or even V2 if they have an MVP of their product. And so really it's those questions that we typically ask. Hopefully I answered that question.
You definitely did there, Ayanna. There is a follow-up question to that
Sure.
around traction. So, excuse me, Madeline asked, "What does Precursor identify as quantifiable traction?"
Yeah, that's a solid question. So if you if you're already launched in your new market and you have some revenue, we'll definitely take that into consideration. But if you are pre-revenue, that is fine. We will back companies that have minimal to no traction. That means that they have yet to even go into beta. They have yet to do anything to really figure out who their target customers are. We will invest in you. It really is like your vision that we're backing. So that means you have to be well past the idea phase, like not writing anything on the back of a napkin, like really fleshed out and understanding once you get this capital, how are you going to go from T0 to T2 in X amount of time.
Got it. And I want to dig a little bit because you mentioned kind of investing in people over product,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's great. I'm curious, like, what are some of those, like, what are those top traits you're looking for? You and the team at Precursor are looking for when it comes to the individual that's outside of the business, right? Whether or not they have that traction. I'm curious, like, if there's any top attributes, kind of intangibles that the folks at Precursor are looking for.
Yeah, I that's a good question. I wouldn't say if you have this is going to be a guarantee. Like I think about the companies that we've backed to date, it's literally folks that have, eat, sleep, and breathe this some way, shape, or form in terms of the problem that they're solving, whether that's through a lived experience, whether that's professionally, and they've been in a particular industry and have realized an inefficiency in how processes are being done, or whether you are building something because you are part of a community and you realize that no one is meeting your needs, or the services and products that are out there, they're not sufficient. And so really all of that rolls into passion and
Mm.
like being able to convey your story, your vision in the most clear and concise manner. And so it's like people that are passionate, people that are great communicators, and I will say people that are transparent. That doesn't mean when you come to us, you're letting us know everything that's under the kitchen sink, but you're letting us know in terms of what is working, what you're still trying to flesh out, so that we have a good idea of as we think about our resources, our network, do we make sense? Are we the right financial partners for you?
Love it. Getting the gems from the best. I appreciate you elaborating on that, Ayanna.
Of course.
Next up, we got some quantitative questions.
Mhm.
First one up, Jasmine. Does Precursor lead rounds, and what equity is expected for 250,000?
Yes, so we do read lead rounds, excuse me, and those I would say are predominantly pre-seed rounds. So we don't have a very strong position on equity, and what I mean by that is like we're not the fund if we don't get 10x, then we're not going to invest. But I will say our range is anywhere between 4 and 7%. But again, that's not to say if there is a round and we're really excited about the founder, we're really excited about their vision and the problem that they're solving and the unique way they're going about solving that, whether it be from a service or product perspective. And if we don't get an ownership within our range, that we won't invest. That does not mean that. And so when I say we back people over product, like through and through, we will make exceptions to some of our high level rules.
Got it. Jordan asked a question. I think this next question is multi-layered. So let me know if we need to break it up. Are you only interested in speaking with founders that are actively raising, or is your team interested in speaking with founders who want advice to prepare for raising?
Both. So, okay, so I'll answer it backwards. So I'm big on lifting as we climb, just because my life before Precursor was really outside of being prepared. It was people taking, spending time with me and giving me advice as I was still trying to figure out what's the next step. And even now, as an investor, still people still spend time with me. And so that motto, as I said, lift as we climb, I take, and the rest of the team does hold near and dear. So if you're a founder that just wants guidance on your pitch deck or your pitch presentation, you can totally reach out to me. And so I would say the best way to do that is to email me. So that's my first name at precursorvc.com. Uh, also, for the rest of the team, I think it's best to reach out to especially Charles and Sydney when you are ready to invest. And I say that because, we see cold inbound, and this is not looking, mentioning the rest of our funnel. We get inbound from folks that we don't have connectivity with, anywhere 50 to 60 presentations, pitch decks a day. And then you add on the fact that we're getting referrals from our founders, we're getting referrals from other folks, operators, investors, you name it, personal friends within our network. We're seeing a lot of pitch decks in a given day. And so I think the benefit of being someone that's still junior on the team is I have the respect and ear of both of my GP and principal, and I'm also doing what I love, which is helping people win. And so I'm here to help you get prepared until you're ready to talk to Charles or Sydney. But also, I say if you are to reach out to me, let me know what approach you're taking. So because I too take pitches, and so they look to me to find amazing founders for the fund to consider to invest in. So if you just want advice, let me know when you do reach out.
And the next question, I think you just elaborated on it, but I want to make sure folks caught it. What is the best way to connect with Precursor? I think you elaborated on the channels that they
Yeah.
can reach out on.
So, sure. So, when you are thinking about reaching out to the fund in terms of pitching, we do have a form on our website. If you go to the website precursorvc.com and you go to the contact section, we have a form for any founder to fill out. If you want to reach out to me for some time specifically, you can email me at Ayanna@precursorvc.com. Now, when you fill out the form, just so you know, that goes to the entire team. And so a member of our team, more than likely Marina, will review your application and then get back with a decision within a week or two.
Nice. Next up, we have Lacey. How much revenue should startups possess to seek funding?
Yeah, so for us, you can come to us with zero revenue. And so the best way to think about it is typically we're investing in companies that are pre product market fit. And so they're still figuring out who their target customers, they're still figuring out their business model, their pricing strategy. They're still figuring out their place in the market. So you can come to us with zero revenue as long as you have an understanding of like how you're going to get from zero to 100, and that's like stretching it, but let's say 0 to 10, and how you're going to use the capital however much you're raising, and how you're going to break through whatever hypothesis or get to that next business milestone within 12 to 18 months, because usually that's our assumption around capital. So we assume that if you raise a million or less, you're probably going to spend the next 12 to 18 months working through a lot of high level elements about your business model, and then go out for your next round. And so if you are pre-revenue, pre-product, and you have not launched, you can come to us and we'll definitely consider you for investment.
Got it. This will probably be the last question we'll be able to get to. David wanted to chime in with what are your biggest pet peeves and pitches? You mentioned the team over at Precursor sees, you said upwards of 50 to 60 a day, right? And so I'm pretty sure you've seen your fair share of pitches. Are there any pet peeves for you or maybe the general team over at Precursor?
That's a good question. I don't know if I would say pet peeves, but I would just say things that will cause us to raise our brow. And so when we like founders that have conviction on around their growth, but you have to also understand, because we have a very large portfolio, we have a good understanding of what it means in terms of what's needed capital resources to get from ground zero to the next. And so when you say, you're at ground zero, I mean, you have zero revenue, zero customers, and you're going to get to 100,000 customers by the end of the year. For us, unless there's something unique about your business model, unless there's something unique you're sharing about the spending patterns of your consumer, then that's where we're going to raise our brow and start to question whether or not you truly understand the market, how it works, and your consumers' behavior. So that's one. The other is super long pitch decks. I say keep it to a max of 15 and really focus on highlighting the information that's going to allow the reader, if they do not have the pleasure of speaking with you and receiving your passion, take us on a journey with that deck. And so, whether you're starting out with the problem, lay that problem out in like two to three sentences and follow the same principle for that solution and take us on the journey of how you're going to grow, how you're thinking about your position in the market. So your market slides and your team. I definitely do see slides where they don't have the team, and if I'm backing you, I got to know who else is on the team, and I want to know how much you're thinking about raising. And if you're not sure about how much you're thinking about raising, I say take a step back before you submit a pitch deck and figure out if you can find someone within your community or go on Twitter or even reach out to me. There's a lot of junior investors at these funds, especially folks that I know in my network that happen to be either female or of color, and they know how hard it was to break in the venture. We want to help and back amazing founders from underrepresented, underestimated, I should say, communities. So do that, pull those levers. But I would say those are the two: super long, not probably the best and clear and thought out story.
Appreciate that, Ayanna, and you giving all that insight, and again, just being very open and willing to continue the conversation.
Absolutely.
For those definitely listening in, Ayanna said several times, how to get in contact with her and the broader team at Precursor to keep the conversation going. But again, thank you for sharing what's going on there. Your focus on having a diverse portfolio. I really commend the team over at Precursor for that, and just want to say thanks for sharing, and looking forward to the founders that you have conversations with just after this event who have attended Pitch a Founder.
Well, thank you and like everyone else for putting this on. This is amazing. It's different to be on the other side of the table. So thank everyone for their grace. And I commend, my hat goes off 2 and 3 times full to founders that have to pitch, because my nerves were definitely up there. So thank you all.
Appreciate that, Ayanna. And next up, we'll be transitioning to our next founder. We are going to be speaking with Elizabeth Galbut. She is the co-founder and managing partner of SoGal Ventures. So stay tuned. Next minute or so, we'll be transitioning over to that conversation with Elizabeth.